Welcome. Judge Gorsuch should be confirmed to the Supreme Court, and he will be confirmed to the Supreme Court. On any objective measure, Judge Gorsuch is impeccably well qualified for the court. A graduate of Columbia and Harvard Law School and Oxford, a former law clerk to Justice Byron White, Gorsuch has spent a lifetime in the law building a record demonstrating that he would make an exemplary justice. The justice for whom he clerked, Byron White, was the only Supreme Court justice appointed by President John F. Kennedy. And anyone who watched the confirmation hearings last week would see a judge who's demonstrated a fidelity to law for a lifetime, despite personal attacks, unfair slights, despite political efforts to appease some of the activists, some of whom are gathered here today. There were no meaningful substantive concerns raised about Judge Gorsuch. Indeed, if this were being decided on the record, Judge Gorsuch would be confirmed 100-0. And we don't have to hypothesize about that, because Judge Gorsuch has been confirmed 100-0. A decade ago, when he was nominated to the Federal Court of Appeals, the Senate confirmed him by voice vote. Not a single senator spoke out against him. Not Dianne Feinstein, not Pat Leahy, not Barack Obama, not Joe Biden, not Hillary Clinton. Every one of them went along with confirming him to the Court of Appeals, a question anyone should ask if they supported his being on the Court of Appeals a decade ago. What's changed? And the only thing that has changed is our energized activist friends that have Democratic senators terrified they will get primaried from the left in a Democratic primary. That's the only thing that's changed. On substance, we now have, in addition to his impeccable qualifications to be a Court of Appeals judge, we have over a decade of proven record on the Court of Appeals, and the universal assessment of Judge Gorsuch's tenure as a judge is that he is a judge who follows the law without partiality to any litigant, without partiality to any policy outcome. That's what we want and deserve in judges. A final point. This judicial nomination, I believe, was the most transparent judicial nomination in history. Indeed, it is without precedent. Last year, then-candidate Donald Trump released a list of 21 names from whom he would choose to replace Justice Scalia. The voters had that list in front of them. They knew exactly the 21 names. Neil Gorsuch was one of those 21. Donald Trump promised, if elected, he would nominate a judge in the mold of Justice Scalia. Hillary Clinton, on the other hand, promised a very different kind of justice. She promised a liberal judicial activist who would vote to undermine free speech, to undermine religious liberty, to undermine the Second Amendment right to keep and bear arms. And this election was, in a very real sense, a referendum on the Supreme Court. That has no precedent, the degree to which the voters knew precisely what they were getting. And what I would suggest to you is the overwhelming election result in November, as the American people chose the direction, gives this nomination a kind of super legitimacy. It is not simply the president's choice, but it is the president's choice that has been ratified by the American people voting in a national election where they were choosing, do they want a liberal judicial activist or do they want a principled originalist on the court who will protect free speech, protect religious liberty, and protect the Second Amendment? That nomination was ratified by the American people, and next week it will be confirmed by the United States Senate. Thank you.